speaking. Today we have two very special ambassadors from CAPS. I will have them introduce themselves after everybody else does. But my name is Courtney Torres. I am the Special Programs Coordinator for Innovation and Commercialization for the Tech Transfer Office at UTA. We manage all the technologies and we bring them into the market through commercialization and the patenting process. Another thing I manage is the Startup Lounge. It's a co-working space on campus. That's where we normally hold all of our EpICMavs meetings and other entrepreneurial events. But of course, we are going virtual. So we will be meeting every Thursday, 4:30 to 5:30 on Microsoft Teams. These meetings are open to the entire entrepreneurship ecosystem. So if you know somebody that's outside of UTA, even if they're not local to us, since we are virtual, they are more than welcome to join us. So just send them my information or follow us on any of our social media. You can follow us at UTA Innovation on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, all that good stuff. LeBode, are you back?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I do want to introduce everyone to LeBode. She is working on an event that we will be hosting in November. LeBode?
So hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm LeBeau with LeBeau Labs, a marketing consultancy here in the DFW. And I just wanted to give you guys a heads up and a save the date. I know that the wonderful UTD Blackstone Launchpad is doing their startup weekend this weekend. And so that is awesome. And just in case you missed the deadline or would like an opportunity to present your idea for Startup Weekend, we will be having one in November from November 6th through the 8th. The ticket is $25 and tickets do go on sale on Eventbrite and on our website on October 12th. So if you'd like to stay up to date on that, you can go to Instagram and follow us at Startup Weekend DFW, or you can also check us out on Facebook with the same name. But we will be back again to keep on plugging this and reminding you all. And just know that our theme this year is Women in Tech. However, men, of course, are invited. And we are just really excited about making this a really special event. Even though it is virtual, I think it can be all the more better because we can invite whoever we want to, right? So thanks again. And I hope to see you guys at our event.
Perfect. Thank you so much, LeBode. And I have a flyer in our files. So if you are a member of the EpICMavs team, you can go into the files section and you can see other entrepreneurial resources. There's a folder for Startup Weekend, and there's also some other fun resources. We've got a list going of good books to read or articles for every entrepreneur. And then we've also got a sheet for networking. So if you would like to connect with other people, that's a great way to just share your information. And then I want to introduce Devin. She is our partner at Tech Fort Worth, and she helps us bring EpICMavs to you.
I don't know if you want me to say anything, but I can say more about Tech Fort Worth, but hello, everyone.
And would anybody else like to introduce themselves? Everyone's being shy. Okay, well then we will turn the table over to Sarah. She is from CAPS. She's an ambassador. Sarah, welcome.
Thank you. My name is Sarah, and I've been with CAPS for 2 years now. I'm a senior. I'm studying public health, so it's really different from entrepreneurship and business. And I also have another ambassador with me. His name is Andrew.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Andrew Arias, currently a senior at UTA studying psychology. Hopefully going to go into sports psychology after I graduate next semester. This will be my 4th semester with CAPS, and it is been a little different adjusting to moving everything online, but we're trying to make the most of it, and hopefully we can help you guys out today with our presentation.
So we're with the UTA Counseling and Psychological Services Department. So we're just like student ambassadors for the psych and the counseling services. So we do lots of outreach events to try to teach the student body about the services that we provide. But today we're going to be talking about time management.
You can go to the next slide. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so it's very simple. I mean, it sounds very simple. You know, the main things are, like it says on the slide, you know, setting goals, being self-aware, planning, being self-disciplined. And all of this ties into basically one thing that's very important, especially during 2020, which is, I think, keeping yourself motivated. For me personally, it was very difficult at the beginning to wake up and walk maybe 5 or 6 feet and to my desk and say, okay, like I'm at school now, you know, this is how it is. It was very difficult to, I guess, set a schedule for myself when everything changed. And I realized as who I am that I'm very personal with people. I like to be around people. I like to, you know, make new friends. So this has all been very different. So knowing who you are and how you operate is very important when it comes to managing your own time. So for me, I have to list, you know, very reasonable goals. I think it's a big problem for a lot of people to set too big of a goal at the beginning of a semester, or if you are, you know, starting a new job, you know, it's very difficult to say, okay, I'm going to make all A's this semester, or I'm going to get promoted by the end of the year. To me, it's almost more beneficial to set little goals day by day and take it step by step. And just doing that and keeping it on a schedule, like with my planner, is very important to me. That will help you stay motivated. And I think, especially like I said, this year is just very difficult for everyone that has been going through either the pandemic or just the many other factors that have happened in 2020. So one of the main things I want to get from this slide is just being self-aware of who you are and what works for you. But we can move on to the next slide. Thank you.
So it's important to know that time management is something that you can't just master overnight. You gotta first like identify what's holding you back, what's keeping you from doing things efficiently. And so it's something that you have to work on gradually to get better at.
Yeah, so this slide is just discussing some of the strategies that you can use to have a successful semester. You know, like I had just said, my planner is very, very important to me. If I don't write something down, then I have a tendency to forget maybe like when an exam is, or, you know, if the paper's coming up. So I always try and to write everything down in my planner at the beginning of the semester through each month, all the way to December, just so I can have that reminder, like, oh, this week I have, you know, a test. So let me start, you know, reading over my notes. You know, a good way to adjust is also to set reminders in your phone or on your laptop. There's a lot of different apps now, like Google Calendar is listed up there, that can really help you just remember certain things like that, because it can be very easy, especially in the environment that we're in now when you're home, to be very relaxed and to just kind of accidentally forget, like, oh yeah, the meeting was at 5 and not, you know, 4:30 like I thought. Because to me, home is a place where I've always came to relax, or to, you know, have dinner with my family. I've never saw it as like, oh, this is the place where I have to do all of my schoolwork. So adjusting to that is difficult, but what makes it easier is making sure that you know what you're doing for not only for the day, but for the week, but for the whole semester. And like I said, my planner is my lifeline. So that's basically the main thing I want to get across from this slide.
So, another good strategy to manage your time efficiently is taking breaks during your study sessions. So instead of cramming like 6 hours the night before because you didn't have time before to study, it's better to start studying like even for an hour a day. So you're supposed to theoretically take a 20-minute break for every hour you study. And so if you look at studying that way, it's a lot more approachable. And it makes the idea of studying seem less intimidating if you only do an hour a day. So you can start, if you see on your calendar you have a test in a week, you can pace yourself better by doing an hour every day versus doing 7 hours in one night to make up for every day that you should have studied. Another good thing you can do to manage your time is obviously multitasking. And so I'm sure if any of you guys have kids at home or pets, it's hard to make sure you're on top of your assignments and watching lectures while they're being crazy at home. And so something I like to do is like I'll rewatch a lecture while I'm cleaning, or if I'm driving somewhere long distance, I'll play the lecture in my car so I can re-listen to it, or doing things like that while I'm cleaning. So I'm able to knock out like two things in one. Another good thing is studying during your peak times. So everybody's peak times is different. For me, it's when the sun is out. So if it's nighttime, I really don't pay attention to what I'm doing. I'm tired. I just want to be in bed and relax. So I avoid studying at night. Again, it's different for everyone. So I prefer to study like in the middle of the day when the sun is still out, when it seems like everyone else is awake. And another thing I want to mention is that it's important to find balance in your life. So there's a picture of a wheel here. And so you got to make time for your mental well-being, your physical well-being. And if any of these wedges on the wheel are too big or too little, then like the balance will be thrown off. So for everyone, you guys all have your own needs, and it's important to meet all of them by managing your time efficiently.
So this slide just is introducing the idea, and what I fall into a lot is procrastination. The best way I can really talk about this is how I tend to do things now versus how I used to do them, let's say back in high school. I remember I was very good at procrastinating. I was one of the best in my class back in high school, if there was a reward for that, because I would wait, the night before an exam to start studying. I'm see myself as someone who can write fast or type out things very fast, but I always do my papers sometimes the day of in high school. And I quickly learned once I got to college that that was not going to work at all. So I had to really rewire a lot of things that I had to do. And we're going to be discussing a little bit more of what you can and can't and shouldn't do. But personally, it's okay if there are days where you're a little tired. And if you're not feeling up to it at that very moment, we all have days like that. It's just a part of being human. And, as Sarah and I sit here and talk to you today, we do represent CAPS. And psychologically, if we're ambassadors for them, we should know everything and do everything the right way. But it's important that we're basically with you guys too. We're students as well. We struggle a lot too. I've struggled this year a lot with everything that's changing, and procrastinating, especially at home, can be very easy for me. I can get very tied up in just doing little things like either watching a show for too long or maybe playing video games for too long. And what really helps, like I said before, is just having your planner, and like on my to-do list, it's like, okay, at 11:30, read for 30, 45 minutes of, some book or some certain chapter. And that way, once I have that all written out for the week or for the day, it really kind of just forces my mindset, like, okay, like, let's just do it. Let's do it now. That way, later on in the night, I can have the free time that I was craving earlier in the day. But we'll move more onto that in just a second.
So, this is just kind of like a goofy comic about the cycle of procrastination, because I'm sure we can all relate. We'll say something like, okay, I'll study tonight. And then tonight comes and you're like, no, I can do it in the morning. Then the morning comes and then you accidentally sleep till like 12 in the afternoon. And then you're like, okay, I'll just do it later. And so we keep doing that to ourselves. And then like all of a sudden the due date creeps up on us and we have like 3 hours to turn in a major assignment. And so this comic just kind of illustrates how it's like a never ending cycle of you saying you're going to do it and then putting it off.
So, like I had mentioned in the beginning, being self-aware of who you are is extremely important into tying in how you manage your own time. These are just a list of certain diversions or distractions, like it says social media, video games, Netflix. Sometimes you can be a perfectionist and want to get things exactly right, and that can hinder you sometimes. Relationships. For me, I had to actually list out the things that would distract me. And that would be, I love movies, so I watch a lot of movies. I like to play video games. So I had to list these things out, and I really had to sometimes limit myself to how much time I could spend towards that. And especially nowadays when everything is so fast and so just right there in your hands, like your iPhone. I mean, I can get on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and just scroll through mindlessly, sometimes for like 30 minutes to an hour. And I'll look at the clock and be like, oh my gosh, did I just scroll through TikTok for that long? And those are the little things that in the moment may not appear to be a huge problem. But if you add up all the hours and minutes that you spend doing certain things, then you will reflect and be like, gosh, I wish I had spent that time, reading more, or, whatever the case may be. So like I said, just listing it out, like literally listing it out, helped me, and putting that into my planner, because like we'll talk about a little bit later, you can use those things that were distractions and turn them into rewards. But we'll move on to that in just a second.
So making changes, the first thing you have to do is understand like what's distracting you and becoming self-aware with that, and admitting that you have a problem with time management. So you should be looking at things that are taking up a lot of your time but aren't helping you be productive. So what are you getting distracted by? Is it family issues? Are you picking up extra shifts at work that you probably shouldn't? Things like that. You should be self-aware of things that are hurting you instead of helping you. And once you identify those problems, then you can work on figuring out how to manage your time better by finding solutions to the problems. So it's like finding better boundaries for you, disciplining yourself, saying, I'm going to wake up early tomorrow so I can get work done. So that means you'd have to go to bed early the night before instead of staying on TikTok for 4 hours like Andrew loves doing, apparently. And of course, another important thing is learning to say no. So if you have a lot of social friends who constantly want to go out, and you have FOMO, like fear of missing out, and you just don't want to be like the person who's always flaking, that can like take up a lot of your time when you're going out every single weekend, when you should be using those extra hours to, you know, catch up on sleep or do personal things like clean your room and things like that. So, I'm sorry, my manager's texting me right now on my laptop. But it's important to say no to that and recognize that it's okay to say no. You need to make time for yourself, and that's totally okay. If your friends or your family don't understand, that's on them. I'm really sorry about my my messages going off. And another thing, there's a typo in the PowerPoint, but it was supposed to say multitasking. So kind of like what I mentioned before, doing two things at once to get things knocked out of the way, things of that sort.
Yeah, I think Sarah brings up a lot of good points. And I think one thing that is kind of intimidating in this life and in every aspect is change. And especially in 2020, I think as students, as teachers, faculty, wherever you are, you've had to make a lot of changes. And one of the biggest issues I had for when this first kind of started was embracing the change. I think when you say out loud or say to yourself, you know, things are changing, but I'm going to make the most of it. Being or using positive reinforcement for yourself can really make a huge difference. Because to me, at first, it was very scary, you know, even hearing the rumors. It was like, oh, next, you know, semester, next fall, everything's going to be online. And, you know, back in, I believe it was February, I was like, oh, yeah, there's no way that's going to happen. And, you know, here we are. And instead of looking back and like, oh, I wish this had never happened, you know, you have to, you know, kind of sit up straight and tell yourself, okay, this is how it is, and I'm going to make the most of it, and this is what I need to do differently, and I'm going to embrace it and take on the challenge head on. So that's just a very important aspect of what we're all really going through, is just embracing what can make you just more successful. And we can move on to the next slide. Thank you.
So modifying your environment is super important for time management. You don't want to be around people who are going to distract you or things that'll distract you. So like Andrew was saying, it's hard to like get assignments done and focus in class when your classroom is now your bedroom. So modifying your environment could be, you know, turning the TV off, keeping your phone away from you, going into an empty room where you won't have distractions, things like that. It's important that whatever environment you're in has zero distractions so that you can focus on what you have to do. This is an easy way to make sure that you're staying on track.
Yeah, so right here we have the 10-minute plan, which is just basically saying if you're working on a task for 10 minutes, after that 10 minutes, decide whether or not you should take a break or if you should just keep going and pushing through. I have recently tried to kind of implement this plan. You can change the time up. It's, you know, not set in stone that it has to be 10. It could be 15, it could be 5, it can be 20. I usually do about maybe 15, 20 minutes of a certain task. And then I get a little distracted. So usually what I try and do is either go outside, maybe do some stretching. There have also been some scientific studies that say if you exercise in between studying, then you actually remember the material a little bit better. So sometimes I'll try and do maybe some crunches or some push-ups in between, you know, reading chapters. And it actually does help. You know, it just, there's not that mindset of like, oh, I'm bogged down with so much work. You know, if you break it up into blocks, then it doesn't seem as stressful and it doesn't seem like, you know, as much work was just put on your shoulders. And then the second part is the 5-second rule. And, you know, throughout life, there's been a lot of things where I think about what I have to do for the day. or for the week, or whatever the case may be. And basically, this is just saying, if you're thinking about doing something for 5 seconds or more, then stop what you're doing and just go do it. Like Courtney put in the chat, embracing the change. Well, this is embracing to get up and go do whatever it is you have to do, no matter how difficult the task may be. As long as you try and put in the effort, then there's really not much else you can ask for. It's very easy to become complacent, especially during these times. And these little rules and these little plans can really help out whatever it is you're doing, whether it's with work or with school. These little things can, like it says, help break the inertia. And it's just extremely important to just give yourself a break sometimes. Sometimes, when you think to yourself, oh, I have to read for 4 hours today. Well, that does not sound terribly fun. But if you can break that up and do something, I would say, a little bit relaxing in between those times, can help yourself mentally and relieve some of that stress and some of that anxiety that I've experienced many, many times in the past. So this slide is just giving you just a couple ideas of what can help you throughout the rest of the semester or throughout the rest of your life, honestly.
So rewarding yourself is an important part of the process. Even like small achievements, like you check something off your list today, like you cleaned your room or you did your laundry. It's important to celebrate like these small achievements that you did and recognize, any progress is still progress. So rewarding yourself, trains your brain, helps you become more self-compassionate and thinking confidently. It's so good for you, your mental health. So any small achievement, reward yourself however you want to do. So, take a nice bath with like bath bomb, or like treat yourself to a nice dinner, or have a lazy night where you watch Netflix and do nothing and don't have to worry about anything. Everyone has their own way of rewarding yourself, but it's important that you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, are we all seeing the same screen? Sorry, I don't mean to break the cycle, but are we on modify your environment? Is that what everyone else can see?
What? I'm on do something different.
Oh, you're on something different?
Yes, that's what I see.
I am showing modify your environment, but let me go back and. Do you want to move to the next one?
No, I was going to speak on this one.
Okay.
Just
Sarah, can you see that?
No, I don't.
I'm going to stop presenting and try and pull it back up.
Because I was on one slide and then Andrew wasn't talking about like the 10-minute thing, so I was kind of confused.
Okay. Let's see.
okay.
I was like, what's going on?
No worries. You were trying to modify our environment right now.
Yeah. Gotta think on the go.
Yeah.
DLC time management.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. Tell me when to stop. Now is it on modify your environment?
Yes. And yeah, we can start there. So like I'd mentioned earlier, waking up and going to school 6 feet away to my desk was very, very difficult for me to accept that. So what I've done now is I try and just study in just different places. For instance, like I've been reading outside a lot more. And I've also, a good friend of mine that also goes to UTA that I've known since I was in 2nd grade, sometimes we'll meet up and study together either at my house or his house. And just changing the environment just a little bit gets gets me a little bit more motivated to do the work that I have to do. Sometimes just staying in the same place, in the same desk, in the same seat for months on end can be just a little depressing sometimes. That's how I felt. And I needed something to change. I really did. And so I just started studying different areas of the house, sometimes, meeting up with friends, not very many friends, obviously, but just one or two. And that really did help, and it has helped. And I'm still trying to find new places. A friend of mine suggested that to go to Starbucks and, sit at one of the tables and just to be somewhere different, or go somewhere on campus when you still can, that's isolated, just to change that mindset, because, doing everything at home is very different, because we have been trained for so long that, school is meant for a place where you need to go to that certain place and interact with the people around you. And changing all of that up, was very difficult for me to start off with. But it's very important to change your environment that fits you the best. Some people I know work very well under these circumstances of, being in the same place, and they like it. So if it's working well for you now, keep doing that. But if you're having trouble staying focused and keeping yourself motivated, then maybe it can be the environment that you're in, and not so much just putting it all on yourself. It's just a natural thing for people to, want to study at school. I mean, that's what it's there for. So during these times, if wherever it is, wherever you go to study, if it's helping you, then keep doing it.
We can skip this one since I just talked about it.
Well, to go back on, there's the reward part just for a second. I had mentioned that earlier, and like I said, I literally put it in my planner to, either play video games or watch a movie, because at the end of the day, you feel so much better about yourself if you completed all your tasks. Sarah was speaking that her peak hours are during the daytime. And I guarantee you, she completes all her work during the day, then she has the rest of the night to do whatever she wants to relax, or, anything. And mentally, it is extremely vital for yourself to reward yourself in any way that it is. This goes far beyond just school. This kind of what tied it in for me was dieting. And it's okay to have a cheat meal if you're on a certain diet, like once a week or once every 2 weeks, because everyone has those cravings of wanting to, do something that they like, or, eat that piece of cake that, you're not supposed to. But if you do it at certain times when you've already completed your tasks, then it just makes you feel so much better about yourself. And it's just extremely important. So I just wanted to say that before we moved on to the next one.
So this is just sort of like a conclusion slide about what we talked about. So the first point is to be honest with yourself. Look at what you're spending time on during the week. And if you are a lazy potato, it's okay. Just admit it. You are lazy and you procrastinate a lot, because it's okay. It's something that you can change. So be honest with yourself. I feel like I am definitely a lazy potato. And so it's kind of ironic giving these presentations sometimes, because I'm telling you guys, manage your time better, but I am so bad at it. Honestly, I'm being honest. So identify those areas that you're not being time efficient in. For me, it's definitely sleeping. Even if I sleep 14 hours one night, I feel the need to take like a 3-hour nap, and it really messes me up because I could be using those 3 hours to knock out like 3 or 4 assignments. And so that's something that I personally need to work on. And once you identify those problems, you can identify or find solutions. And so for me, I drink coffee so that I won't get tired and I won't feel the need to take a nap. So I can use those extra 3 hours. So everyone has like their own coping strategies and what works best for them. And so it's important to identify those.
Yeah, I was just reading in the chat. Patrick had said, treat school like it's a 9-to-5 job. And I think, that's a really good point. I like that idea a lot. I've thought about that, myself too, especially with classes that are pre-recorded and you don't necessarily have to show up on time to those classes. That can be an easy trap to fall into, where it's like, oh, I don't have to show up for that class. I'll just watch it later because it's being recorded. But, like Patrick was talking about, if you do things like you're still on that in-person schedule, then that can really help you out as well.
If I could chime in on that, Andrew, that concept comes from, it also prepares you for life. I mean, if you think about it, when you get out of school and you start your 9-to-5 job, you're not going to be able to take naps in the middle of the daytime, right? You're not going to be able to, just arbitrarily in the middle of the daytime decide that you're going to disappear from work, stop focusing on work, and so on and so forth. So you're literally setting yourself up with bad work habits when you treat school any other way. So if you develop a habit today of school, and 9-to-5 is just the number that I'm using. I don't know what the real time is. It's an 8-hour day. If you treat school like it's a job, you start school at a certain time in the morning, and for 8 hours, you just focus on school. That means you don't get to go around in the middle of the afternoon and toss the ball with your friend. You don't get to go have a break in the middle of the day and go sit in a dining facility or in a library and just sit and chat because you don't have class. You are in school 8 hours every day. And if you do that, you'll literally have your nights and weekends free the same way you would if you were working a 9-to-5 job. And it prevents you from having to cram before an exam. So many people before an exam have to sit down and study. I'll share this quick example and then I'll be quiet. It wasn't until my junior year at the United States Military Academy that I figured this thing out. My roommate at West Point was going to bed every night at about 10:30. And I was going to bed every night at about 1 o'clock in the morning. And I looked at my roommate one day in our junior year and I said, hey, look here, man, you're not smarter than me. Your classes are not easier than mine. Your classes are just as hard as mine. How is it that you go to bed every night at 10:30 and I'm up until 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning? We're taking the same type of workload and so forth. Right. And he looked at me and he said, Patrick, you don't study. I said, what do you mean? He said, you don't study. You don't focus. I'm talking about another point here. He said, you don't focus. He said, you get up and you go to, I was an athlete. He said, you get up and you go over to the refrigerator and you get a snack at the refrigerator and you go down the hall and you talk to Sherman, one of my best friends. He said, you during this study period, you got all this other stuff that's going on. He said, I sit down here and in front of my desk, and for 20 minutes, I sit down and I look at math for 20 minutes. He said, even if I don't have math homework, I look at math for 20 minutes. Even if I don't have English homework, I look at English for 20 minutes. So now think about that. What's 20 times 5, everyone? That's simple math, right? So if every day I'm looking at every last one of my subjects for 20 minutes, that means I'm spending 100 minutes, an hour and a half looking at my subjects every week. When it comes time to an exam, how much time have I literally looked at my subject? Compared to somebody who sits there and the only time they look at their subject is when they have homework. or the only time they look at the subject is when they're studying for the exam. You're trying to cram all those hours in at one time, and your brain doesn't work like that. Your brain doesn't retain knowledge like that. And what I learned in my junior year is, because the human brain is able to focus anywhere from 17 to 20 minutes, if I could break my studying up into 17 to 20 minute cycles, I could retain the information so much more. But more importantly, when you looked at it, when I got to the end of the semester, I will have spent more hours studying that subject in 20-minute increments. I will have spent more hours studying that subject than you could ever cram in the 2 to 3 days that you try to get ready for an exam.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, and I love that, actually. I mean, I love that approach, and thank you for sharing, because I mean, that's a great approach to basically anything in life, and I completely agree with that. You got to put in the time, and even if, like you said, if it is for 20 minutes, like you said, if you do that 5 times a week, that's really going to help you out in the long run. So I really love everything that you were saying there. Thank you for sharing.
And then I just want to mention what I wrote in the chat. One of our guest speakers, he literally was managing his time. He was a student and an entrepreneur, trying to start multiple businesses while in school. And he literally would manage his time by the minute. He would have it all planned out for the week, and if he had a nap scheduled within his time frame, he would excuse himself, or he would pull over his car to catch that 20-minute nap. And that was way too much for me. I could not imagine living my life by the minute the way that he did. So I think it really just depends on your life and what you do to fill up your time. If you're working, if you're a student, if you're managing a business, or if you're just, trying to figure out your next step. We all have different things going on in our worlds. So you have to find that balance and learning what strategies, what tactics are going to help you to manage your time more efficiently. You're going to have to take the time to break that down for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a great point that, everyone, works differently. Everyone's brain works a little bit differently. So finding what helps you, personally benefit yourself the most and sticking to that is very key and very vital. So great points all around. I love the interaction here.
What are some ways that you all help to manage your time? I use Google a lot. I have actual planners, regular calendars. If I have something big going on, I'll even get a poster board and write the big ideas in the middle and have it so it's visual for me. And that really helped me when I was in school. But what are some tools and tactics you all use to manage your days?
For me personally, like you said, I'm more of a visual learner. So, writing things out on my planner, being maybe not minute by minute, but pretty specific on when I need to be reading, when I need to be studying, rereading things, rewatching some of the recordings, and just writing everything out. Even when I'm reading and I understand the reading, I will still try and paraphrase what I'm reading in my journal. That way I can remember it not only in terms of how the book is teaching me, but also in my own terms and how I, interpret what I'm reading. Is just one example of kind of the things that I like to do. Anybody else?
Personally, I use a planner as well, but I don't use a physical copy. I use like a digital calendar, like Google Calendar, so I can have it like synced with all my devices. And I need something like that because I noticed with planners in high school that I would write them down, but then I would never open my planner. And so I needed something that would remind me, which is what digital calendars do. It's like on the day of, I have reminders set, hey, you have these assignments due tonight. And I always wanted like something on my phone that I could check, because I wasn't always going to carry around my planner with me. If I was out and I needed a double check about having an assignment, I wanted it on my phone where I could just like check anywhere and like always have a reminder for it.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I have some tips because this was a big issue in my life. I had multiple jobs for a long time, and then that resulted in me having to keep up with a lot of things. So I ended up with 3. That was a big, huge one on my desk. Another one that was a little bit more detailed that fit in more information, and then a smaller one that I could carry on. And I carry around, and then I would update all of them and change all of them. That evolved into having multiple digital calendars, and now 2 years later, it's evolved to having an assistant. And so the way that I manage things now is that I have a lot of devices that remind me. My assistant has 2 reminders that I get on my phone. Then I also have Portal, Facebook Portal as a backup. I also have Google as a backup, Alexa as a backup. And I still write things down. And she still, at the beginning of each day and at the end of each day, gives me a graphic with an update of any changes that might have happened, any canceled meetings, any new meetings. So every day she'll send one in the beginning of the day, one at the end of her shift that is updated. And it has on there the meetings for the rest of the week. And before the week, the end of her shift on Friday, she'll send me what I have for the rest of the week next week. And anytime that changes, I just screenshot any meetings people want to have, and she will update it throughout the weekend. So that's where I am now. And this is a really good topic because it doesn't matter if you are going to work for a company or work for yourself or do both at the same time. Use technology to the best of your advantage. Use calendars, use your Google, your Alexa, your Portal. All of my stuff is going crazy because I'm saying the name right now. They're all highlighting because I'm saying their name.
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
See. But then I also have a big whiteboard too. I'm very visual, so I have to have different colors. So I'll have different highlighters, really big on highlighters, putting things in bold, sectioning things off. And what's great about my assistant is that she knows how I think. So even the way that her graphics look, she colorizes them and structures them in a way that'll be easy for me to remember. And I think it's just whoever you are, you just have to figure out how your brain works and how do you like to see information, and then do it. Like, let that lead you.
Yeah, thank you. That was great. Thank you. Very, very good points that you bring up.
I think another big takeaway is that you mentioned switching up your environment. I've been working from home since March, much like everyone else from UTA. You're not really on campus, so you're not leaving your house and changing your environment. I'm online all day, and then I have class, which is now online rather than meeting in person. So then I'm on, Zoom calls for 2 hours for class, and then you have to do your homework. So you're back on the computer, and just being on your computer for 15 hours a day is insane, and it's exhausting, and you're not getting up, you're not visiting your coworkers, you're not having that your coffee breaks with your coworkers, or just seeing other people outside of your environment. So I think that was a great point to bring up, is just, hey, switch up your spots, go outside if you can, sit on your front porch, meet up with a single friend. And even if you're just studying together, not really talking, just changing your surroundings is going to keep you going. Because if you're just stuck in one spot all day, you're going to drive yourself crazy. So I try and switch it up.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I had to do too, because, I felt like I was going crazy, especially back in April. That was a difficult month, just being home all day, every day. I'm more of a person that likes to go out and do things. So, adapting to this environment has been difficult. But I believe on the next slide, with all this being said, CAPS is still here to help you at UTA. Most of our counseling services are through Zoom. So even after all of this, if you're still struggling with not only just time management, but just any stress or any anxiety, that's what we're here for. That's what CAPS is here for. You can talk to professionals, and they can help you out any way that they see fit. They can really help you relieve any type of stress or anxiety, no matter what the issue may be. And you can follow us on our social media. Our main location is on the 3rd floor of Ransom Hall. And also we have a second location on the 2nd floor at the MAC. We also have a Mavs Talk 24-hour crisis line. So you can call that number day or night if you're freaking out about something, and speak to someone that can maybe help you relieve that stress. And we also have, are promoting the Thrive app, which is a really fun app, and it really just kind of helps you stay motivated, keeps you in a positive mindset, because really that's what we're all trying to accomplish, is how can we effectively move forward in a positive way. And I love, the people that spoke up. I love what everyone was saying in the chat. And I think coming together and helping each other out and not being afraid to ask for help is also very key. So thank you guys for listening. And if y'all have any more suggestions or any other tips or anything, feel free to speak up. But yeah, so CAPS is still here to help, and we really appreciate it.
If you could go to the next slide, that's where our information is, like our phone number. Yes. Also, to add on to what Andrew said, every UTA student gets 10 free sessions a semester for CAPS. And then after every session after those 10 free sessions, it's just $10 an hour. So it's very affordable compared to trying to go see a counselor for like $60 an hour at offsite services. And we also have something called TAL, which is Therapy Assistance Online. So if you don't want to speak with a counselor or a therapist, that's like a self-guided therapy website where there's modules you can complete at your own pace. So that's something else that we offer.
Fantastic. Thank you both so much. This was a great conversation. We will be going over branding next week with Lauren from Tech Fort Worth, and the following week we will have fellow CAPS ambassadors back with us to go over stress management as we get a little bit closer to midterms and ending out the semester. So thank you all for joining us today. If you have any books, articles, any other recommendations about time management, stress management, or even psychological and counseling services that are your favorite reads, please drop those in the Excel sheet in our files. And if you have any questions or anything else, you can always reach out to me. I run our social media. You can email me at startup@uta.edu.
Yeah, thank you gues for your time. Really appreciate it. And I hope you all have a great rest of the week and a great weekend. Thank you.
Yes, thank you both.
Thank you. Have a good day, guys. Bye.
Bye.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Have a good day.
Thank you. Appreciate it.